What if you could buy a 2-bedroom plus den in a concrete high-rise with a pool, hot tubs, a gym, and underground parking for under $600,000? In Kelowna, that combination is getting harder to find, but Skye at Waterscapes still has something that many newer buildings don't: spacious floor plans at great prices. But there is a catch though. The amenities, they aren't inside the tower, some of the lake views may not last, and there's a past construction dispute that every buyer needs to understand. So in this video, I'm breaking down where Skye delivers exceptional value, where it falls short, and exactly who should and shouldn't buy here. I'm Mark with KelownaCondos.ca, and I've been through every floor plan that Skye offers. Skye, it can look like amazing value, but once you understand the layouts, the amenity setup, the strata history, and the rental restrictions, the buying decision becomes a lot more nuanced. If buying a condo in Kelowna is part of your plan, I've created a buyer's guide that walks you through the process and it helps you compare buildings properly. I'll show you where to get it in a few minutes. So let's start with one of the biggest reasons that buyers keep coming back to Skye. It's not the pool, it's not the views, or even the price. It's the floor plans. Every unit that I've toured here includes a den, and that den, it makes this such a unique building. It can be a home office, a guest room, additional storage, or in some of the larger units, a legitimate second bedroom with a door. That may not sound like a big deal until you're comparing it with newer buildings, and then you realize that their second bedroom is literally what Skye calls a den. But the floor plans here are only half of the value story. Unit for unit, Skye is one of the best priced concrete high-rises along the water. You're getting concrete construction, a den, secured underground parking, and access to a full amenity package at a price that you won't find downtown. And then there are the views. Most units here have some sort of view, but the higher floor 07 and 08 layouts, they offer truly breathtaking views. The 07 floor plans, they're just under 1,000 square feet, and the two recent sales have been in the mid to high 800,000 range. At the time of this video, there are two 08 floor plans, which are 1,200 square feet, and both of them are close to 900,000. But before you fall in love with the layouts, let's look at what it costs to own here. Strata fees at Skye are approximately 57 cents a square foot. So on a 1,215 square foot 2-bedroom plus den unit, that works out to be about $693 a month. To put that into context, two other full amenity buildings in Kelowna that I often refer to are One Water, which is approximately 65 cents a square foot, and InView at approximately 53 cents a square foot. Skye, it comes in slightly higher than InView and well below One Water. Your fees here, they're going to cover the building maintenance, which is an 18-year-old building, the reserve fund, the amenities, and all the landscaping. Skye does have a lot of amenities, but there's something that out-of-town buyers are almost always surprised with. None of those amenities are in the tower. I'll get to in a minute what that means. When it comes to strata fees though, comparing buildings can get tricky. A lower strata fee is not automatically better, and a higher fee is not automatically a problem. You need to understand what's included, what condition the building is in, and what future expenses may be coming. That is one of the reasons why I created my BC condo buyers checklist. It covers the cost of owning a condo, the documents that reveal the building's true condition, and the BC specific costs and rules that every buyer should know. You can download it using the link that I'll put in the description. Now, let's look at what you're actually getting for those monthly fees. Skye residents have access to an outdoor pool, 2 hot tubs, a pretty big fitness center, a lounge, and guest suites. There is also secure underground parking along with shared EV charging. And that's rare to find EV charging in a building that was completed in 2008. At Skye, you have many of the lifestyle features that buyers want from a newer downtown development without the new construction pricing. But there's an important distinction between having amenities and using them. Skye is part of the larger Waterscapes development. So the amenities, they're located in a central clubhouse building. That means that you're going to have to leave the tower to reach them. For some buyers, that might be a minor inconvenience. For others, though, it might mean that you don't use the amenities at all. And that brings us to a few details that can change whether Skye is a smart purchase or a future mistake. The first thing is that Skye is one of 5 buildings within the Waterscapes development, which contains a total of 475 units. Skye itself has 188 units, but the shared facilities, they serve the whole complex. That will help explain why the amenities are in a separate central building rather than being inside the tower. It also means that buyers need to understand both the Skye Strata and its relationship to the broader Waterscapes development. The larger Waterscapes story, it deserves its own video. For now though, the key takeaway is simple. You're buying into a large strata, so reading the strata documents, it becomes even more important. It's as simple as more people can mean more problems. The second thing is Skye Tower, it was involved in legal action against the developer concerning construction defects. The issues, they included dryer vents, parking drainage, and sections of the building's cornices, which is a fancy name for building ledges. And if I mispronounce that, please forgive me. So the strata did not receive the settlement it had hoped for. That sounds alarming, I know, but here's the part that matters more to a buyer today. The physical issues themselves have reportedly been addressed. The dryer vents were decommissioned, the parquet drainage work was completed, and the cornice repairs were carried out. I've said it countless times. This is why reviewing the strata documents is so important. You need to make sure that you review the strata minutes, the legal documentation, engineering reports, and records of the completed work. Don't rely on a verbal summary from an agent, including myself. The paperwork here is what matters. The third thing is one of the most misunderstood parts of Skye and Waterscapes. You probably will see units advertised on Airbnb and assume that short-term rentals are permitted, but for new buyers, they aren't. The Strata bylaw, it prohibits short-term rentals, with an exception for original owners who purchased directly from the developer. Now, Kelowna's provincial short-term rental rules changed again on June 1st, 2026, but the Strata has reaffirmed that its own restrictions remain in effect. So if you're buying today, you should approach Skye as a long-term rental or an owner-occupied unit. If your purchase depends on nightly rental income, this building should be taken off your list. Fourth, if you're considering an O2 or O3 floor plan, pay attention to the vacant land north of the building. That property is zoned for a high-rise development. So some of those units, they currently enjoy great northern lake views, but there's no guarantee that those views are going to remain unobstructed forever. Never pay a permanent premium for a view that may be temporary. Before making an offer, review the zoning yourself and the surrounding development applications, and the precise sightline from the unit. The last point is something that you may not discover until you move in. During several recent visits, one of the elevators was out of service. In a 188-unit tower, elevator reliability, it becomes a thing some people take for granted until they break down. Now, that doesn't automatically mean Skye's a bad buy, but it's something that I would look into. Review the elevator maintenance history, recent strata minutes, and any planned repair or modernization expenses before removing your subjects. Now, I'm not covering these things to scare you. They're to inform you, because in my opinion, an informed buyer is often a happy buyer. Skye, it makes the most sense for buyers who want the high-rise lifestyle without paying new construction prices. It's especially compelling if a den is non-negotiable. Whether you need a home office, a guest room, or simply just more space, Skye offers better layouts than most concrete buildings. And it's also one of the first buildings that I discuss with buyers who have 2 dogs, especially if they're larger dogs. Skye currently allows 2 dogs and it has no size restrictions, which is unusual in the Kelowna condo market. Ella is another downtown building that can work for buyers with 2 large dogs, but the trade-off is amenities and location. Ella does offer newer finishes, and they do have a few units that are 1,100 to 1,300 square foot, but you are right downtown. At Skye, you can get dog-friendly flexibility, a great location, and some incredible views. That combination is really hard to find at this price point. But Skye is not the right fit for everybody. Again, you should skip it if your investment strategy depends on short-term rentals. Discovery Bay, Playa del Sol, and Brooklyn, they may be alternatives worth investigating. Although, rental rules can change and they must be verified before purchasing. Second, Skye is probably not your best option if you want brand new interiors. Some units here have been renovated, but the building was completed in 2008, and finishes, they can vary dramatically from one condo to another. Buyers prioritizing newer finishes and larger layouts will probably prefer Ella, although there are going to be some trade-offs with affordability and location. And finally, Again, this may not be the building if you have multiple vehicles. Parking is getting harder and harder to come by around Sunset Drive, and there is no paid parking lots that aren't, right by. The paid parking lots are going to be 2-3 blocks away. Sunset Drive offers downtown convenience, but downtown convenience always comes with trade-offs. So the location, it sits at the northern end of Sunset Drive in Kelowna North. From here, you're going to be close to Prospera Place, Knox Mountain, the Kelowna Yacht Club, the Waterfront Promenade, restaurants, coffee shops, and everything else that downtown offers. It's the kind of location where you can walk to the lake, grab a coffee, attend an event, or just head downtown. For many buyers, that walkability is a major part of the appeal. But you should also experience the neighborhood at different times before purchasing, because Sunset Drive becomes busier during the summer. And like much of Kelowna's downtown core, the area has visible homelessness and related street-level challenges. That doesn't make it a bad place to live. I know, because I live downtown, and I did a whole video about what my experience has been like with my family. I'll link it above. Now, let's finish with the numbers. Skye was completed in 2008. There are 188 units in the tower, and it forms part of the larger Waterscapes development, which contains 475 units spread across 5 buildings. Most of the homes here are 1 or 2 bedroom layouts, and the majority include a den. 1 bedroom plus den units are the 04 and 05 floor plan, and they are 709 square feet. The 2 bedroom plus den units generally range from approximately 970 square feet to a little over 1,200 square feet. At the time of this recording, 1 bedroom and den units, they're priced between $400,000 and $500,000. 2 bedroom plus den units range from approximately $550,000 to $900,000. Penthouses are approximately 1,500 square feet, and today's price is around 1.8 to 2.8 million. But they haven't sold, so the market hasn't really supported those prices. And this is why Skye is such an interesting building. It's not the newest tower. It doesn't have the most convenient amenity setup, but when you find the right layout on the right floor at the right price, Skye, it can offer a combination of concrete construction, usable space, amenities, pet flexibility, and downtown walkability that is extremely difficult to match. So is Skye at Waterscapes a good buy? Well, for the right person, absolutely. The opportunity is in the layout, the price per square foot, and the flexible pet restrictions. Just make sure to do your homework. Review the Strata documents and choose the unit, not just the building. If a Kelowna condo purchase is something that you're thinking about, remember to download my free Kelowna Condo Buyer's Guide using the link below. And for the most honest Kelowna condo reviews, market updates, and building comparisons, subscribe to the channel. I'm Mark with KelownaCondos.ca, and I'll see you in the next video.